is Laura Kerner, and I am chair of the Texas Veterans Commission and a U.S. Navy veteran. I'm here today with Tom Palladino, our agency's executive director. On behalf of the TVC, Texas veterans and their families, I want to commend the legislature for the work you've accomplished over the last session in support of veterans and their families. Your unwavering commitment to veterans and investment in veteran services has made Texas a model across the nation to follow, and the best state in the nation for veterans and their families. Since 1927, the Texas Veterans Commission has diligently carried out our mission, as shown on slide 2, to advocate for and provide superior service that will significantly improve the quality of life for Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Texas is home to over 1.5 million veterans and their families, which is more veterans than any other state. Since the last legislative session, we have surpassed California. Our legislative appropriation request supports our mission and ensures the agency can continue to provide necessary services and benefits to meet the needs of these veterans, as well as improve their physical and mental well-being. The agency's general revenue directly supports agency services that change the lives of Texas veterans and their families. TVC goals and strategies are outlined on slide 3. The 8 strategies under Goal A assist veterans with receiving benefits and services they have earned through effective advocacy, outreach, and direct services. Goal B allows the Texas Veterans Commission's Fund for Veteran Assistance grant program to award grant funding to community nonprofit organizations and local government agencies providing direct services to veterans in the areas of general assistance, mental health, housing, and veteran treatment courts. TVC under Goal C provides effective administration of the Hazelwood Act exemption program, a statewide veteran education benefit. And our last goal includes TVC's indirect administration that supports our agency strategies and programs. I would like to profoundly thank you for funding 2 of our 5 exceptional items within Senate Bill 1. That included enhancing our TVC's mental health services, including prevention. Justice involves veterans, military veteran peers counseling, and veteran homelessness, and also supporting the data center services in coordination with DIR. I'm now going to ask our Executive Director, Tom Palladino, to review our remaining exceptional items.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Huffman, Vice Chairman Inanosa, and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Tom Palladino, and I am the Executive Director of the Texas Veterans Commission and a U.S. Army veteran. I echo Chairwoman Kerner's sentiments and extend a sincere appreciation for your efforts supporting Texas veterans and their families. I would especially like to thank you for funding the 2 exceptional items in Senate Bill 1. In our printed presentation on slide 4, you can see the summary of our remaining 3 exceptional items. I will briefly cover them in sequence. Exceptional item number 1, as shown on slide 5 of our presentation, the agency is requesting an increase in services and operations to support the growing needs of the state's large veteran population. The agency is requesting an additional 9 claims benefit advisors to support veteran VA claims submissions, 4 veteran employment representatives to provide employment services to the veteran spouses and family members, 8 healthcare advocates to assist veterans to access and enroll in their VA healthcare benefits, 4 business consultants to support veteran entrepreneurs through the process of opening new businesses in Texas, 2 specialists to support our communications and veteran outreach across the state, and lastly, 8 specialists to support agency business and information technology operations. This includes funding for our indirect administration, which supports all the agency's strategies providing services to veterans. TVC has never previously requested an increase in indirect administration services. However, with the growing need for veteran services throughout the state, and our programs that directly assist veterans require assisted support from our indirect administration to continue to provide superior services to our veterans and their families. This includes the agency's human resources, finance, information technology, government relations, and legal services. These functions are like the engine room of a ship. If you do not maintain the engine room, it may end up dead in the water, to use a naval analogy. Exception item number 2, as shown on slide 6, is to facilitate proactive outreach to all Texas veterans and their families. TVC is requesting a data management and engagement system which would allow the agency to proactively contact veterans, informing them of available benefits and services to meet their specific needs throughout the state, to access the contact information received from the Department of Defense for military service members who plan to reside in Texas upon completion of their service, to provide flexible reporting and data analysis capabilities to allow focused outreach to all our Texas veterans. This application would allow TVC to access, manage, and sort veteran data and increase veteran engagement to the over 1.5 million veterans in Texas, provide them with the resources they need to access the benefits they have earned. The last exceptional item request on slide 7, TVC continues to lose staff to the private sector, federal, local, and other state agencies. There exists a disparity between salaries between TVC compared to other state agencies, especially in Article 1. The agency is requesting funding to raise the salaries up to the state average for all classifications to better retain qualified and skilled employees. Thank you again for your steadfast support for all Texas veterans and their families. Pending any questions, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Senator Hinojosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Chairwoman Corner, for coming down to the Rio Grande Valley and attending a huge event to educate veterans of what benefits and what programs are available to help them out as it relates to their service in serving our country. First of all, we have some challenges here in Texas, and that is that we provide better benefits than any other state, better support for veterans than any other state. So we have a challenge because many veterans are moving to Texas, and that puts a lot of pressure on the Commission to be able to cover all the veterans that actually live here in Texas and move to Texas. And as we deal with some of these issues, like mental health, I remember coming back from Vietnam and it was just a mess, and that there was not very much support for veterans from the federal government or the state. Many of them became homeless. Many of them became addicted to drugs. Many of them committed suicide. Even today, we have a large number of veterans that commit suicide on a daily basis. It is just really unacceptable. And so, we have done a lot to try to address those issues. But one of the issues that came up recently was a request which I didn't know the answer to. And that is, we have many Gold Star mothers who lost a son or a daughter in combat or serving on a mission for the United States military. So do we have any type of pilot program dealing with this issue and try to provide mental health counseling or some kind of counseling for Gold Star mothers?
Senator Hinojosa, thank you for that question and your support of our all Texas veterans and their families. We'll work with all family members of fallen veterans to see what benefits they're eligible for, whether it's DIC, dependency indemnity compensation for filing a disability claim, or to assist them with the burial services, or to see if they're qualified, for any services that we may have. If not from the VA, however, we have a lot of nonprofit partners that offer support to Gold Star family members and other family members for, mental health issues dealing with, the loss of a family member. So we do assist them in trying to get them into those services, in referrals into those organizations that will help them. And we also help them, filing claims with the VA that they're for the benefits that they're eligible for.
The other issue that I think you all have done a very good job, and that is many veterans have struggled to access benefits from the Federal Veterans Administration. It's a huge maze, if you will, huge bureaucracy, very difficult to be able to figure out how to apply for benefits, and then they give you all this I guess, bureaucratic terminology that is hard to figure out. So we have appropriated funds to help those veterans that need help and ask for help. Do you work with counties that have local VA offices to bring in veterans to help them maneuver and figure out how to apply for the benefits?
Absolutely, sir. So one of our charges in the government code is that we train and accredit all the county veteran service officers in the state to be accredited with the VA so that they can, in turn, use the Texas Veterans Commission power of attorney to represent them with the VA and file disability claims. We also co-locate with many counties. Some of our staff, we co-locate with the county when we don't have availability space in a VA facility. So we currently have 73 offices throughout the state, which is for our claims representation and VA healthcare representation for the veterans with the VA. We don't pay rent at any of those locations. Over 50 of the locations are in VA facilities, and then the remainder are county facilities, also at universities or military installations. And so we work very closely with counties, co-locating it sometimes. We train and accredit, and they use our power of attorney when they file the claims with the VA, and then we can also help the county veteran service officers with each of their claims benefit cases.
I know we have an office in Hidalgo County, Nueces County, but in Hidalgo County they do a very good job in helping veterans with their claim process with the VA administration. I guess another issue is a sensitive issue, and that's Hazelwood scholarships, tuition. So is that growing as it relates to the cost? Is there a decrease in number of veterans that are using the Hazelwood scholarship program?
So, sir, it's actually stabilized. I think in the beginning, in 2009, when the legislature approved the program that the veteran could pass on some of their Hazelwood benefit to the dependents, it did go up for a few years. It was a very high rise, and then the universities, requested a reimbursement for part of that cost, which the legislature appropriated. And so we managed that program. The Hazelwood database was outdated, so we're renovating that. And in there, the universities report to us. We then pass that on to the LBB of what is used, and then there's a calculation so they get a partial reimbursement. We also, the database also manages all the used hours for each individual veteran and their dependents. So we can see, and so now even though it has been rising over the years, it has been leveling off. It is not rising at the rate that it was, because we have veterans are moving in. A lot of veterans leaving the service. They have small children. They don't have children of college age, and so I think it is leveled off. And so it's not rising to the rate that it was.
And I guess the question is, what percentage of the tuition is paid by the colleges, and what percentage is being reimbursed by the state?
So it's exempted. It's an exempted benefit. So the veterans that attend or the dependents under the Hazelwood benefit first have to use the GI Bill. So that's always very important to bring up, that the universities, receive over, I don't know the number, I think it's $1.3 billion in GI Bill payments every year at the universities. Then after the GI Bill is used, then they can access the Hazelwood benefit. It's an exemption. The universities, have room in their classes. Now they come up with a dollar figure to do that, to take that exemption, and then that dollar figure is reported to through us to the LBB. And that's the calculation to give them reimbursement. But we can take the last report and we can send it to the committee if you want to see, the status of what the last expense report is.
I think that's important because I know that last session or session before last, there was an issue as to making up the difference in the gap between the cost to the college or the university compared to the reimbursement from the state under the Hazelwood scholarship program. And one more question on that. I know that we have more veterans coming to the state, and we still have, I guess, a presence throughout the world. The United States military. Are there more women coming into the program now?
Yes, sir. So Texas not only has the most veterans in the country. We have the most women veterans in the country, well over 200,000. And there is an increasing number of women serving in the military on active duty in the Reserve and National Guard. And a lot of veterans, including women veterans, reside in Texas after they either entered service from Texas and they complete their service and they're coming back to the best state of the nation, or they're stationed here like I was. And, I was stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, and I married a Texas girl. And when you marry a Texas girl, you retire in Texas. So a lot of service members, that happens to them. And so they reside here. So the population of both male and female veterans is increasing.
So is that why you're making, exception number one a priority, to increase operations to support veterans?
Yes, sir, it is, because the demand for services is steadily increasing because we have more and more veterans and their family members moving into Texas and staying here, which is good for Texas, is good for Texas businesses. And so in order to expand our services into the rural areas where a lot of them live and to address the demand in some of the urban areas, we need to increase the number of service members, number of veteran representatives who service the veterans.
Well, thank both of you for your leadership and the work you've done in helping and supporting our veterans. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, good afternoon, Chair Corner and Director Palladino. Good to see you again. I want to ask, how are your grants awarded?
Yes. So grants are awarded through actually lottery commission revenue. So we do have a scratch-off ticket, and all of the money that comes from that scratch-off ticket is used for those grants. Grantees will submit a request to the Texas Veterans Commission. We have a grant program and grant specialists that will review them. And then all of the commissioners vote once a year on grants that would be given to nonprofits. Every 2 years, by state law, we do, 4 years, we do a needs assessment, and we assess what the greatest needs are for veterans across the state by different types, categories, and geographical regions. And based off of those, we make decisions on which nonprofits, veteran treatment courts, which type of services that we would support with our grants.
And for those organizations that get grant dollars, for instance, Catholic Charities, probably know where I'm going with this because I questioned you about this before. Catholic Charities, for instance, in San Antonio receive TVC grant dollars, but they also have services for illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. So how do we make sure that those dollars are not fungible and what we mean for our veterans are not going to illegal aliens?
So Tom is going to answer this one because he has the details.
So Senator Campbell, these grants that we award out from the very beginning in 2009, when this program was created by the legislature and administered by the commission, they are reimbursement grants, and we have a compliance team that does compliance to all the grantees. So the first is when they're awarded the grant, they put into their application for the grant exactly what they're going to do with the money and who they're going to help. So then they provide the services, they produce receipts in names of who they're helping, and they are veterans and their family members, and then they get sent into the Texas Veterans Commission. We then assess it, a compliance team evaluates it, and then they get reimbursed for the expenses that are eligible. If they send in any expenses that are not covered by the grant, they are not reimbursed for that. Then we do compliance visits to ensure that the people they're helping is covered in our grant. Now, many of these organizations help a variety of people. So they can help those other people with other money funding that they have. But the money that they receive from TVC only goes to veterans and their families, so, and we evaluate.
I realize I just talked over you. I'm sorry about that. But so they are awarded the grant, but they're not awarded the money until it's checked. And when you say compliance checks, you're talking with the veteran to see if they got that, if they received the service.
We do two things. So the audit team, they're reviewing all the receipts that came in, number one, before they even get any reimbursement. Number two is they're dealing with the actual organization. They go and do an audit of the organization. Then, if we need to, we'll talk to the veteran if we're suspicious of something to get a feedback from the actual veteran about
Well, I
the
would think
service.
that the books that you're going to see are what they want you to see. I just wondered if any veteran, I just am concerned if there's not a way to make sure the dollars are for sure spent on our veterans.
Right. Well, all the documents they send in, they have to validate that they're veterans. And then we are now doing customer satisfaction surveys from the recipients, the veterans themselves, for the services they receive from the grantees.
What % return of the surveys do you get?
I'll have to get back to you on that, and we'll get that information to you.
Surveys just typically are not very high rate of return.
Right.
So, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure, and to follow up with that, Senator Campbell, you've made this request as $2.7 million for a database that would be able, so you could track, identify veterans for outreach purposes, but you wouldn't be able to track what you gave them. I think you're saying it would be very important to be able to track the services, not just find new people. So if we're going to spend that much